Politics and reality, they often part company, but this week they seem to be even further apart than usual. Millions of people continue to feel the effects of austerity. The economy is still smaller than it was before the beginning of the Great Recession. Oh, and politicians of all parties are telling us there'll be more cuts and deeper ones stretching beyond the next election. And yet, despite that uninviting future, there was a euphoric, even delirious mood when George Osborne appeared at the dispatch box. Well, there was among Tory MPs who'd inhaled the latest growth figures and become intoxicated with adoration for the Chancellor.
And on the day that we learn that our economy continues to grow, isn't it clear that the anti-business Labour Party is now the biggest risk to the economic recovery?
My mum always taught me you shouldn't gloat. Very unattractive gloating, don't do it. But the Tories, they just couldn't help themselves. Not when Ed Balls was there to be taunted.
After 3 damaging years of flatlining, today's growth figures are welcome. But everything we have seen today from the Chancellor shows he just doesn't understand that for working people facing a cost of living crisis, this is still no recovery at all.
There you have one of the main battle lines of the next election. We've delivered recovery. The Tories will cry, Labour will respond, but what kind of recovery? And recovery for who? Caution, the next exchange contains a terrible attempt at a joke.
He has been wrong on all these things, and Mr. Speaker, what they need on the other side of the House is new crystal balls.
Very good, Chancellor. A joke about my name being called Balls. Fabulous.
With those two, it's not just business, it's personal. Another key election battleground will be tax, and here the two parties have mirroring problems. When the Tories cut tax at the top, even if it's from an intellectual conviction that it's best for the economy, they expose themselves to the charge that they just want to stuff more gold into the pockets of their wealthy mates. When Labour proposes to increase taxes, even if they're on the very wealthiest, they risk being seen as the enemies of aspiration. At Prime Minister's Question Time, there was an arena for David Cameron and Ed Miliband to rehearse their campaign lines.
What we heard from Labour over the last 48 hours is they want to attack that growth. They want to attack those jobs. They want to attack those businesses. We now have in Britain an anti-business, anti-growth, anti-jobs party.
With every answer, he shows who he stands up for. A few at the top, not the ordinary families of Britain. That is the truth.
Alex Salmond is telling Scots that they can have a stable, prosperous, wonderful future as an independent nation. Trebles all round. And, he says, they can even keep the pound. The Governor of the Bank of England went north of the border to warn that things may not work out quite as easily as that.
A durable, successful currency union requires some ceding of national sovereignty. It's likely that similar institutional arrangements will be necessary to support a monetary union between an independent Scotland and the rest of the United Kingdom.
Nigel Farage of UKIP is trying to clear out his closet, saying his party's got too many of the wrong kind of members and denouncing as drivel all the policies he stood on at the last general election. Despite that, the Tories remain extremely jumpy that they'll be given a thumping by UKIP at the Euro elections in May. That helps to explain why his right-wing backbenchers are continuing to put pressure on David Cameron over immigration. They went into action during today's debate on the immigration bill.
Unless there is a tangible threat to life or limb, these convicted killers, rapists, drug dealers and other very serious criminals should be sent home. They should not stay on the streets of Britain.
The Tory leader is not the only one with battles with his own side. Ed Miliband is facing a struggle in his attempt to reform the Labour Party's links with the trades unions.
We keep this money coming in because we run this little trick that people don't know they're contributing to the Labour Party.
It's not a trick, Alan. It's the history of the movement. It's the history of the movement, and that matters.
Why are you worried about the money not coming in?
What matters,
might go to the SNP?
What matters to me is that we'll hear less from working people, less from women, less from black people if we weaken the link with the unions.
The stakes are high for the Labour leader, his authority on the line. As one member of the shadow cabinet says to me, Ed has to be seen winning this one.